UK regulators just signed off a $69 billion video game deal. Microsoft's Xbox Game Studios is now the proud owner of Activision Blizzard. That's right, Xbox with games like freshly minted Starfield, Minecraft, Halo, Elder Scrolls, and the Gears of War IP is now adding some of the most famous gaming IP, Call of Duty, Warcraft, Diablo, and mobile gaming Candy Crush. Activision Blizzard, the company behind over $8 billion in annual sales and nearly 400 million monthly active users. This video is all about the consolidation of gaming, how large game publishers, enormous global technology companies, and a famous gatekeeper to China managed to amass really popular IP. We'll talk about why M&A or mergers and acquisitions exists in gaming and just how much money is out there for it. But first, a quick look at the timeline. Activision and Blizzard merged in 2008, creating the most profitable pure-play console game publisher out there. Leading up to that moment, Activision acquired over 25 companies. Neversoft, famous for Tony Hawk, Infinity Ward, and Treyarch, behind the likes of both Call of Duty styles. Even Red Octane of Guitar Hero. Years later, looking to break into mobile, Activision Blizzard acquires King for $5.8 billion in 2016. The year is now 2023, leading up to a big holiday season for gaming, and Xbox Game Studios is now sitting on the $69 billion prize that is Activision Blizzard. So many acquisitions. We'll start with the console wars that we know today, PlayStation and Xbox. PlayStation Studios owns 19 studios, and if you look at their 2022 acquisition, possibly out of spite, of Bungie for $3.6 billion, that makes number 20. Xbox Game Studios is at 24 if you include that freshly minted deal for Activision Blizzard. How about big publicly traded publishers like Electronic Arts? Well, their last major purchase dates back to 2021, but that was still for $3.5 billion, and they're sitting on over 20 studios. Let's look at Take-Two Interactive. They might have the smallest portfolio of studios, sitting at a little over 6 or such, but they are also another giant, last year spending $12.7 billion on Zynga. Yes, that's right. Farmville and Words with Friends will be joining the likes of Red Dead Redemption and Grand Theft Auto. That's M&A in gaming. And lastly, there's the lucrative Chinese market. Tencent finished their complete ownership stake in Riot Games in 2015. The next year, they got really aggressive with the popular Finnish company Supercell, acquiring up to 84% of the company when it was valued at $10.2 billion. And so far, up to this date in 2023, there have been 90 transactions. Why does M&A exist in gaming? The banker consultant type would say something along the likes of synergies. Combine groups, reduce duplicate and overlapping functions like finance and operations and human resources teams, perhaps even save on tech resources and infrastructure like servers and creative software licenses. Then there's knowledge and shared domain expertise. Think of top mobile game publishers like Supercell behind Clash of Clans, or King behind Candy Crush. They've mastered their unique play patterns and know exactly how to get the free-to-play model to succeed for millions of users and get that small percentage of the population through in-app purchases to monetize. They've learned customer acquisition costs and figured out how for the right price they can get that user to convert to download but then ultimately monetize. Now imagine if you had access to these large data science teams, because those are both deep data science type skill sets. Your debut hit a year later is still going strong, you're up to 30 people in your studio, but you're starting to think about what's next, what's the next IP you'll be creating. Now, with potentially the certainty of an acquisition or working with a large studio, you can tap into existing teams that they may already have the infrastructure to not only help you get the most out of your current game and live operations, but also give you that freedom to think about that next title you'll be working on. The next point is hits driven. Sure, before World of Warcraft, League of Legends, and Fortnite, this might not be the same, but even still in today's AAA category, there's a hits-driven business element to game publishing. Huge successes in AAA cover the set of failures that likely were there building up to that, and they also will hopefully have you with enough cash to reinvest and work on that next title, but also giving you some immediate financial stability so you can feel confident as you operate for that next big hit. That is exactly why Diablo 4 did 666 million in their first 5 days of operations, and Blizzard's first half revenue jumped 120% year over year. It's hits driven. The next part in this consolidation phase is super interesting. It's the Netflix model. As Netflix saw more companies join into streaming, those licensing agreements for specific titles became more competitive and they needed to move into original content production. As a really successful subscription business, they did something really unique and innovative. They figured that you can basically depreciate production costs over the course of a schedule, say 10 years, and really help reduce that immediate upfront spend on content production. And this is perhaps exactly what we'll see with Microsoft's Game Pass and PlayStation's PlayStation Plus, especially because both of those companies, Microsoft and Sony, are so flush with cash. Games, of course, has the eyes of billions. Look at Roblox, who reported 70.2 million daily active users playing over 16 billion hours in Q3 this year. And gaming is more than ever across generations. Mobile gaming completely pushed away the gamer stigma. It's now for everyone. In fact, I was walking down in Mexico City and I saw someone outside looking at their phone, a middle-aged man, and I was wondering because naturally we always are seeing people watch sports, especially football. And it turns out as I got closer, I saw those patented circles right in the finger spots. And I knew exactly that those were the trademark joystick controllers that you have on a mobile device. He was playing FC Mobile. Gaming's a $200 billion industry and still growing really fast. But even if gaming is a $200 billion plus industry, that's still barely anything. Billions of people use Meta's Facebook and Instagram products, but the financial markets think they're worth over $800 billion. Now we've got to wrap up why this matters so much. And part of it's because of the cultural influence. The other part is because of the sheer scale of how many people are participating and how this money may be moving hands, and all of these different gaming companies and gaming IPs may be changing and exchanging hands. In the big tech realm, there's so many questions to ask. Why is Apple betting on Apple TV with original programming? Why is Microsoft on this massive spending spree for Xbox? And why is Netflix getting into gaming? Well, there are loads of reasons, from attention, to be in command of the home, to complement existing products, or to offer new services and add more value to an ecosystem. But it's also because they're simply flushed with cash. Let's not forget, once upon a time, Facebook spent $19 billion on WhatsApp text. When Take-Two spends $12.7 billion on Zynga, and Microsoft spends $69 billion on Activision Blizzard, yes, it's unprecedented, and yes, it will change a lot. But it is so far from all the capital sitting there waiting to be deployed. One reality is that basically any company outside NetEase and Tencent in China is an opportunity for an acquisition. Take-Two, Electronic Arts, Square Enix, all of these are things that could easily be bought. Not even Nintendo is off limits technically, although culturally it probably is. Again, with the cash, public gaming companies have over $45 billion in cash right now. That may sound a lot, but consider that both Amazon and still yet Microsoft each have more individually. And the total available cash from the top tech companies is over 229 billion. And that's like 7 companies. I will leave you with this. Saudi Arabia's private investment fund just bought Scopely for $4.9 billion. And they're really pushing hard into gaming now. So what does all that available cash and the consolidation of gaming mean? Well, difficult to say. I'm mixed of nervous, but also excited. Ultimately, when you're building a company, yes, you can do it for the passion, but you need some sort of financial return and incentive so you can keep that growing, possibly bring the product to more people, expand, and really have a chance to make what you're building something enduring. With larger and larger acquisitions, and possibly what we're seeing from Microsoft and Sony acquiring a lot of content for their specific platforms that will be subscription services, we have to expect some change. But ultimately, I'm still super optimistic because the tools for creation are getting easier and more sophisticated in terms of quality at the same time. So it's always going to be a really nice time to build these types of projects, and we should see a lot. Same thing for the distribution of these newer games. Here again at the end, I hope you enjoyed this one. We're gonna stick on gaming for maybe at least one more video. If you have some interesting ideas, drop them in the comments. If you have some requests for new content, I'd also love to hear from you too. And we'll see you the next time.